Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/culturalstew. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Please listen carefully.
Welcome to the Cultural Stew Podcast, coming to you from the Goat Factory Media Entertainment Studios. We are your cultural media recommendation podcast, giving you our take on what we think is worth carving your time out for, and also what we think you can pass on and maybe go cut that lawn instead. Warning, we use adult language, and there may be spoilers ahead. Hello, and welcome to Episode 13 for the week of May 27th. My name is Ron Herkins Jr., and I am here with my co-hosts,
Tony Carter
and Valerie Vidmar.
Hello, gang. How is everybody?
Hot.
Ha, see, I didn't do hey, you guys. We're a gang now.
We're a gang.
Yes.
Not so very scary gang.
It's warm in here, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
I think we're all a little beat up a bit.
I think you've got props for being the worst out of all of us.
Yeah. I'm getting there though. I've been recuperating pretty well. But yeah, I have it was a success. As far as I'm concerned. I'm probably doing too much. For those that you don't know, I had bilateral mastectomy on the 14th, May 14th. Is that right? Yeah. And because I have some DCIS and they couldn't tell whether any of it was going to be invasive or not. So I just found out that 4 millimeters of it was invasive cancer, which would have eventually hit my lymph nodes and gone wherever. So I did the right thing. It's been okay. It's surreal. I feel like a mannequin. But it hasn't, it's an up and down thing, but I got lucky. So, actually I was telling my dad that there are, the 11% of the new diagnosis of women, with breast cancer are between the ages of 40 and 45. So just 11%. I am one of those 11. So I just want to point out to everyone that get in there and get your mammograms because mine saved my life. You just never know. And I went to Elizabeth Windy and they treated me. It was a fantastic experience. So get in there. Men get breast cancer too, as well. So,
Well, we are shocked and delighted that you are here. 2 weeks after our last show, and you're right back in here with us.
I have tubes. I have 2 tubes left. I won't show you. But yeah, I feel okay. I was happy to get back and feel like a person again.
Nice.
So, other than that, when you're a complete control freak, turning everything over to your parents to deal with, and clean and take care of your kids, and I'm spoiled now. Like my dad has done the lunches and taken the girls to school and brought them home, and
you got the chauffeur service to here.
Oh today. Yes, and I don't have to drive, and the laundry, and I don't get to pick up anything heavy. I mean, it's pretty rocking.
How long does this last?
I probably get to drive in like maybe 2 weeks, and then other stuff going on for the next few months. But all in all, we're good.
How about you, Anthony? What have you been up to?
Well, I just caught Screenplay's production of Hamlet. No offense, guys, but I've seen 20 Hamlets in the last 5 years. Like a lot of Hamlets out there in Rochester. So I think we should have a stop and desist.
Moratorium on Hamlet.
Yeah, it's just my friend MJ is in the show. She played the title character. Very good Hamlet. they did it differently. They had it where Horatio was reading Hamlet's journal. So they had it like everything that was happening was what Hamlet wrote down, and Horatio was also a great performance, by the way. Actually was recording, rereading everything. So it's like a flashback. So for me, that kind of worked. It wasn't straightforward. It was just like a journal reading, and we got to see inside more of his head, and it kind of it worked that way for me. I was standing for about an hour and 45 minutes for Act 1, and that was grueling. I'm a videographer for theater productions in the area, so I do a lot of taping of shows. I see a lot of free theater as a result, and thus I see a lot of Hamlet. And this one, I'm not just saying because my friends are in the show, but it really caught my attention in a dynamic way. So,
And where is it?
this was at the Lyric Theater.
Okay.
It closes this afternoon, actually. So, but it was up for a long time. Screenplays is a theater company in Rochester that likes to do different works that are works from golden age of Hollywood. So shows, a lot of movies we had in the 20s and 30s were based on plays. So they're bringing those plays back. A lot of radio dramas, I would say.
That's cool.
Have you ever been in Lyric?
No.
It's one of the most beautiful buildings in like what it's got on the roof.
When you're
of the
saying it's
ceiling.
closing, are you meaning closing?
The show
The
closes.
show closed.
Yeah, Hamlet is.
Okay, it made it sound like the
Kaput.
theater was closing.
No,
sorry.
they kind of have a lot of things come through there, but they haven't. Their plan is to gut out. Right now, it's kind of set up like a church pews
Right.
and how it would be set up for a church. And I can't wait for them to actually get the money to actually gut that and turn it into more of a actual space. It's got the space. It's got a huge space, but it's just the architecture on the wall. It's like walking into the Eastman Theater. It's just that classical architecture, and it looks really cool. I'll show you a picture later.
Oh, and speaking of churches, Muck used to be a church too. So a lot of churches are being renovated into theater spaces, which is funny because theater originated in the church.
What is Muck?
Muck is the multi-use community space center. The acronym is
It's off of Atlantic.
all close by.
There's so much stuff here. That's
There
very
is.
cool.
Lots of theater.
Awesome.
Anything else? Or
Just,
wrapping up your week?
I'm hoping I get a little downtime coming up soon because theater season is coming down. I have a show at JCC in Dogfight coming that I'll be doing, but after that,
babies incoming.
I was going to say
closer,
babies coming.
Closer.
yeah. So I'll have some downtime, which will be great, and then I'll be picking up again probably in
You're
late
one
summer.
of the few people that I've ever consider having a child as downtime.
Well, I mean, I have DVC, the theater company I helped start, 18 years ago, is doing theater too. So 4 days after Sebastian is supposed to come, I'll be filming another show. So I'll have that quotation break, as Mario calls it, but it's not really a break. But yeah, I just keep going and going and going. So.
Yes, you will too.
As for me, just been on a photo kick lately. Just did a wedding this morning. Took some promo photos for another local theater this week. Theater season is in full swing. Merry-Go-Round starts up next week. And, as the good weather came around finally here in Rochester, like spring came really late. Mm-hmm. Now comes yard season, so I have to take care of a yard now.
We are hiring that out, man.
We had it hired out last year, and it's just like
we couldn't do it.
Waiting on other people to do something on their schedules is very.
Oh my gosh!
Because it's like, the days that they could come, it's nice and sunny and beautiful, and then the days that they try to come, sorry, it was raining today, we can't make it.
Well, this is cool. The day that he was going to come to do our yard, my friend Justin Hurt, actually, he's a personal trainer.
Is he a heartthrob?
He's a cutie pie. Anyway, he's a personal trainer in the area, and he comes. I had to stop, obviously, training for a while, but he came over, and our garage has been. No car has been in our garage for quite some time, and we had that construction in our kitchen, so everything went into the garage. It has been, scary. And Justin came over on a rainy day. I think it was rainy. And completely cleaned and organized our entire garage in 4 hours. It was the most amazing thing.
Wow.
It's so awesome. I mean, your brain, that's a special talent.
Organization?
So, yeah. Jason's been trying to do it for weeks, and it's just, it's an overwhelming thing. So for him to be able to get that done, awesome.
Cool. Well, today's docket, go through a little bit of the news we care about and go through our recommendations of the week. Valerie's got book club. I have Solo, and Anthony has
Timeless,
the season finale of Timeless. And today, Stu, not going to be much of an argument. We're just going to be chatting about Blockbusters and what a few of our favorites are, and kind of what we think about the past and going into the future as to where these stand as making their impact upon the things that we watch. And so up first, news we care about. What stuff we got going on this past couple weeks?
Well, news just broke that President Obama and the First Lady, or the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, are going to be tied together with a deal with Netflix.
Big deal.
So
It's big.
they're going to be producing films and series for Netflix, and we don't know really what about yet. I don't really know yet, but it sounds promising that they're going to just get together and brainstorm and create content for us. So
I'm excited.
It is exciting. And I think this is the first, isn't it? Like our first former POTUS doing something like this?
I mean, there really wasn't this kind of service out there
Right.
before.
No.
I mean, I wonder if Netflix pitched them.
I've
They
been
went to
hearing
Netflix.
rumors about this for 6 months or so, that they were trying to approach Obama to come up with a series or doing something, and it went from being a series to being like a bunch of things. So it's going to kind of be their own little production studio per se, but there's been some interesting political stuff or flashback from all this that's been going on lately. I can tell you how many, like, I'm quitting Netflix because now Obama's stoking the propaganda machine.
This
It's
is
like,
insane. There's two. Let's see, the Netflix movie Barry, and then there's also South Side with You, which I actually haven't seen, but my friend loved it. I had a girlfriend who loved it.
South Side is kind of interesting. Barry, though, I think it's based on. I read a couple articles about Barack Obama in his youth, about how he was lost and confused and trying to find out who he was and his identity. And I was reading those mostly because my daughter is biracial, and I coming across a lot of biracial children and young people who are saying they don't know who they are or don't know where they belong. So reading about Obama's struggle to find his identity, where he belonged, where he thought he should go, was very telling for me. And I guess it kind of informed me with my son coming and my daughter when she's growing up, how I can talk to them about these issues, because they're important, being about part of both worlds, as people say. But I thought Barry was very tame, I guess would say, compared to Southside. Southside was more funny and engaging, and it's Michelle and Brock's first date is
Right.
what it's about. So I thought that was more laid back and easygoing than Barry. Barry is more real, and I recommend both. But
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him yet. I'm going to, though.
yeah, I haven't seen any. The only thing I've seen that's contained Barack Obama in his youth was Legends of Tomorrow. Had a little segment with Obama as a youngin. That was quite interesting. Let's see. Lois Lane, one of our most iconic Lois Lanes, Margot Kidder, passed away since last time.
yes, sad news.
That is sad.
A lot of people were saying that she was the reason why they got into journalism. A lot of females said that. And also, I think she turned the character around and gave space for Terry Hatcher's version in the 90s, the TV series. But I think, Margot's character, her portrayal, the way it was written, gave women more of a voice. And she just wasn't helpless. She was there with Superman, and she wanted to be a part of the action and she was very smart,
Yes.
wasn't dumb. So, and that's important to me.
And funny. I don't know.
Funny? In what way?
The way she was, I can just hear her when he's first flying with her. It's just funny. Anyway, I always enjoyed her.
In trailer news, we just got the Bohemian Rhapsody with Rami Malek's the first preview of that one that's supposed to be coming out in November, December range. I think we all just watched it.
We did.
I think it looks good. I think it plays well in terms of
I think it looks good.
how it looks in theater. I've seen it twice in theaters now. I think that movie is going to be it's going to rely a lot on those like concert shots.
Just fine.
Yeah.
What?
But they work.
I haven't seen that as a preview yet. Probably the movies I'm seeing are probably not Bohemian Rhapsody preview movies.
It should be good despite all the drama behind the scenes, which is what I'm hoping for. I hope that the production, the final version, the final cut that we see, the movie, outshines all the drama and nonsense that happened in the making of it.
Yeah.
Usually it does. Sometimes not so much, but we'll see.
We'll see. I thought it was a strong trailer. I thought it seemed good and it seemed engaging for me at least. Any other news?
I'm all good, I think.
I got nothing.
All right. With that, we're going to roll into Timeless.
So, in case you didn't know, Timeless had its season finale, season 2, a couple weeks back. That was a 2-hour special, which was nice. All in all, if you haven't seen Timeless, I'm not going to spoil the ending for you. Just know it's very heart-wrenching. But it's a long time coming. Timeless is a story about 3 individuals, a soldier, Wyatt, Lucy the historian, and a scientist, Rufus, who come together to stop a time-traveling villain who's going around in the past dispatching people, I guess is a nice word, that he thinks are doing wrong. And they have different alliances in season 2. Things change. Very compelling. I mean, I must say I wasn't originally a fan of the show. I didn't really know much about it, but then my sister-in-law Sarah mentioned it to me at a picnic. Said, "Hey, are you watching Timeless?" And she knows I like sci-fi and the time machine, and we got talking about it. And then I started watching, and I've been hooked ever since. The one thing that I don't like is the whole upheaval about Timeless season 3 coming, because right now there's still a debate. The producers and network are still deciding is there an audience for this show, and compared to season 1's tick, where they canceled it and then brought it back, we're a little low on fans. But Kelly Clarkson, the singer, is a big fan of the show. She's been pumping it all over Twitter, saying "Save Timeless." I'm one of those people. So
we've entered into this really interesting period with shows that are getting canceled but have a small enough fan base to keep them relevant.
Right.
And Timeless was a big example of like, oh, yeah, I guess we can come back for a short season. Another example recently was Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Right.
They got canceled and they got immediately picked back up by NBC.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Timeless if NBC, it is NBC, right?
Yes.
NBC decides to pass on them, that this will be one of the ones that Netflix or Hulu are going to snatch up quickly.
Very. Because
there's just enough of a market to make it worth it for them to produce it. And it's not a huge budget to produce the show.
Really.
It's not like the biggest effects you have are the time machine
popping in and out. So
everything else is historical.
Right.
And
well, they were shooting in Vancouver at first, and then they brought it down to LA for season 2, and now we don't know where we are. We're in limbo. Yeah. So it's a great show. I mean, when they are on DVD, I'm gonna show my daughter when she's old enough to understand. But it's a great history lesson. A lot of people are saying they're learning history by watching the show. They're learning something in the show and then going to the library, which is great because libraries need to be filled and learning.
What the biggest part I've loved about the show is like Rufus's tongue-in-cheek, backlashing or backhanded comments against like where African Americans stood at that time of history, and like with the last one,
Harriet Tubman,
with the Harriet Tubman thing, and like, oh yeah, you haven't been there yet, and just him coming to terms with like, oh yeah, this is where I came from, but then trying to empower those people that he meet to like, no, don't stand up for this shit. It's been a really interesting series for me to watch, and I liked season 2 way better than season 1 because I think the characters have been much stronger and more independent.
Right.
Like, you got Lucy, very, very independent. She was latching on to Wyatt hard,
right,
and then she finally broke free of him.
Right.
You got Wyatt that got thrown in the turmoil this whole second season with his wife coming back.
Yeah.
And you introduce the guy who was the villain last year, becomes basically the 4th member of the main team, and I think he's one of the strongest characters there.
He is.
So this is a build-upon show. watch the first and go through. Not
Yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to jump into the second and know what the heck's going on without doing the first because there's a threaded story throughout the whole thing.
right.
But, there's been really cool episodes. Like, I loved the episode with, and it was in season 1, where they went back in time to NASA and they...
Hidden Figures.
If you've seen Hidden Figures, you meet all those people in this timeline. And just the fan... I want to say fangirlism, but like Lucy just goes insane of like, oh, these are the women. And like, they don't realize that
Cool.
Rufus gets it, but yeah.
Rufus gets it, Lucy gets it, but like,
Wyatt
they get
slowly.
thrown into these people's life where they're not famous. They're not anybody that's special, but yet they're fangirling because they're like, oh my God, do you realize who you are? These are the people that actually help out
Wyatt did that
NASA.
with the NASCAR guy. Wyatt did that with the first African American in NASCAR. He was like all excited about him and whatnot. So they all have their fan moments, and even with Rufus broke protocol, which is not really protocol breaking, but there's an episode where he went to Classic Hollywood and he met a African American actress who literally created Wi-Fi in the 40s and 50s, and then gave up her patent for it and lost all that money. But then he said, renew your patent.
Don't lose your
Don't
patent.
lose your patent. And then later on, they get back to the future, our present. And she's been rich this whole time. She's giving money to this and that. And
That's cool. Well, I will say that I didn't quite get to Buffy. I couldn't sit still long enough, but this sounds good. I feel like I could probably get into this one.
I've enjoyed it. My girls, every once in a while, they'll come in and they catch it and they'll just sit there and watch it because the story of what they do back in time is actually engaging.
yes.
Where do you find the old episodes?
I still haven't discovered that yet.
Well, NBC is tied in with Hulu, so I'm guessing it's on Hulu.
Could be.
Okay.
That would be my guess for season 1.
It's like Quantum Leap, but this is
Quantum Leap was more. It was one guy and his helper. This is a team, and they all have their own conflicting points. And I'm really sad though because you just reminded me that I have like 10 minutes left of that whole season finale because my DVR
stopped.
Well, no, they must have started the episode late.
They started this it late, like 10 minutes. They were doing something else, and then it started 10 minutes after that. So something was on TV. The Brainiac show was on, and it went
because
over.
I always start 3 minutes early and end 5 minutes late, and so it just missed the last 10 minutes. So the last thing I have was,
I'm not going to spoil it for you. You have to.
The last thing I had was them coming through the door and Rufus.
Okay.
That was it, and then it just went. I'm like,
no.
Oh, what the heck? And now it's been a week later, and I've completely forgotten to go.
I'll remind you. You have to see the last 2 minutes.
Well, if I find the old episodes, I will let everybody know.
It's a good show. I mean, I really like it a lot. I like my favorite thing also is when Rufus drops pop culture. It's like,
oh, that's the other thing. Everybody, when they go back in time, they all pick a name, and it's always like, Cagney, or I'm Cagney, you're Lacey. Like stuff like that. Like they pull out just random pop culture stuff.
Colonel Sanders from, it's like.
That the Colonel Sanders was the funny.
Yeah.
But it just like, oh, did you hear what they just said? And my wife's just shaking her head in the corner at me because I'm like, it's funny.
It is. It's good.
But then you have this like Back to the Future moment where I'm like, man, wouldn't that name actually be written down somewhere? Like you had an encounter with so-and-so, and then you go back to your normal time, and then you read about that encounter, and you're like, oh, okay. So that now famous person is actually named after somebody else that's from back then, instead of it being an original name for some. It was just more of a time quandary question
Eastwood,
thing that I had.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, with Clint Eastwood and
Eastwood Ravine, when they jumped out, he said, my name is Clint Eastwood. Like, what? Eastwood. And then Future. Yeah. It's good show. I love it. I want to miss it. Bring it back.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with hopefully bringing it back. And if not, at least give it to us at Netflix or somewhere that appreciates it. And there's stuff on like Netflix that I'm like, oh, they can get rid of that. If they can renew that, then they can pick up Timeless.
Oh, and Timeless has been doing deleted scenes. So I'm like, are DVDs coming out? Because if DVDs are coming out, I'm buying both seasons. But they're doing deleted scenes on Twitter saying, hey, so many fans, we will reveal deleted scenes from the show. And It's crazy. But I'll let that go. We'll move on.
Book club.
Okay. Well, I would have gone to book club whether my parents were here or not. I just want to say that. But the best way to get me to relax and not do anything is to put me in a movie theater and sit me in a recliner and relax. I would see book club mainly because I love Diane Keaton. Actually, I love Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, Candice Bergen. I haven't watched a ton of Mary Steenburgen, but I love her as an actress.
She's on Last Man on Earth.
I don't know.
I think. Yeah.
Anyway, but it's about this friendship that these women have always come together for this book club over years and years and years, which I appreciate the friendship aspect of, because I have 4 friends that, my goodness, we've been friends since 3 of us since kindergarten. And its director is Bill Holderman. He actually works a lot with Robert Redford. So he did the Robert Redford movie with He and the Boat.
I know what you're talking about. I don't have the title on the top of my tongue, but I know what you're talking
Walk
about.
in the Woods, etc. So he wrote and directed this film, which was kind of interesting that a man wrote it. Diane Keaton is Diane Keaton. You know, she is confused, and she's got her turtlenecks on and her fantastic outfits, and that's all I needed. I was very excited about that. And Don Johnson I had the biggest crush on Don Johnson back in the day. And I'm telling you, he looks pretty dark.
Was he in Nash Bridges?
He was, but I didn't watch Nash Bridges.
Okay.
I was a Miami Vice gal, and then he was in a couple movies that were kind of bad, but I watched them anyway. So Don Johnson hooks up with Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda, she doesn't really show her acting chops in this, but, you know, she's pretty to look at and she works well in the role she has. So those two kind of hooked up. And Mary Steenburgen is with Craig T. Nelson. They've been married for 30 years. Things are a little quiet there. And Diane Keaton lost her husband after, I can't remember, I want to say they were married for 30-ish years. And Andy Garcia shows up as, he's charming. And Candice Bergen was probably the most, I would say, real of all the women, if that makes any sense. I mean, because no one looks like Jane Fonda. No one looks like Diane Keaton. I mean, and Candice Bergen has aged gracefully, and her love interest was Richard Dreyfuss, who was a doll. What happens is they decide that their book for the month, I believe it's Jane Fonda brings it in, and they are going to read 50 Shades of Grey, which I haven't read or seen. So I don't know if you have seen read the book, if it would make any more difference
read it
to
at
you.
lunchtime at work.
And so I haven't read it or anything, but it was kind of funny. It's a movie that's entertaining. It had some good laughs in it. It had there were some touching points in it. There was a scene where you think they're talking about their first time having sex, I believe. I mean, that's what they lead into it. It's actually their first kiss, and Diane Keaton talks about her first kiss and how, I know this sounds strange, maybe it's because I'm a girl. She describes the fact that he put his hands on her face and held them there, and what an impact that made on her as far as being a first kiss, because sometimes you're awkward, and to have I don't know, it's a very intimate thing for a man to put his hands on your face, kind of thing. Anyway, I don't know if you guys get it. I got it. But I say if you love these women and you want to just have fun to go to see the movie, it's a go. I mean, it's easy to watch. It's funny. It's not something that you're sitting there thinking, oh God, well, wasted however much money on this. But there are some reviews that were poor, and I don't think these women have anything to prove. That's all I'm going to say. Looks like they did it for fun, and they each had fun. They all looked great. I thought it was fun to see all these actors on screen, and it talked a lot about, sexuality and how it can change as our body changes or as relationships change or whatever. And I feel like, I don't know, that's a human thing. So I say go.
Question. Some of my friends said that this is like the First Wives Club, but updated.
Oh my God.
Is it anything like this?
Somebody was... No, it's nothing like that.
Okay. I used to watch that a lot as a kid over and over and over again. I'm not sure why. I just was fascinated by the storyline, I guess.
No, it's not. Nothing like that.
Okay, thanks.
And something like Jane Austen's book club or anything like that.
Just curious. Okay.
It's, and it's not even an older Sex and the City type of thing either. So it just holds its own. It's kind of, did I ever forget who they were? No, I was always looking at Diane Keaton and Jane Fonda and Candice Bergen. I didn't have a problem with it.
Let me ask you this. Did they stand out to you as Diane and Jane and Candice, or did they disappear into their roles?
No, I didn't think they disappeared into their roles because Diane Keaton acted like Diane Keaton. She's got her turtlenecks and she's, anxiety ridden and she's, acting
quirky.
But I can watch Diane Keaton acting like Diane Keaton just as like I can watch Jack Nicholson be Jack Nicholson in the movies. So it didn't really bother me.
It reminds me of a conversation that's been going on and off in Hollywood about how if you're a 60-year-old man, you can still have a leading role in a film. But if you're a 60-year-old woman, you're lost and forgotten. And it feels like these women found a way to get around that by finding somebody who believed in, like, they're the great actors or the great actresses by themselves. And what better way to flip the bird at Hollywood than to cast them all in a movie together and say, hey, look, they still got it.
Obviously,
here you go.
Obviously, Bill Holderman likes to work with,
Mature American actors.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously has a little love affair there with, oh my gosh, my guy. All I can see is Hubble. Give me his name.
You're talking about Robert?
Thank you. Hubble. I mean, I'm calling him his. Anyway, do you know who Hubble is? In The Way We Were. That's his character in The Way We Were. Okay. Yeah. So he actually is in a film with Jane Fonda. It's on Netflix. But I thought it was really kind of funny because Don Johnson's daughter with Melanie Griffith is actually the star of 50 Shades Grey.
Yes.
So I thought that was kind of
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
So that kind of cracked me up.
I won't watch the movies, but that's
I hadn't seen Don in a while, and he shows up, and I thought,
wasn't he in something?
You're looking good, Don. Was he in what?
I thought he was in something recently. Like, I think he's coming back. Like,
I wouldn't say he's coming back.
Not
I just
back,
think he's
but-
just.
I just haven't seen a whole lot, but I love these women. I leaned over. One of the first outfits that Diane Keaton has on is just spectacular. I leaned over like, my God, just to look like that and wear that outfit. So it's fun. My dad went and he laughed and he enjoyed it. So he's 76, 77. So he's born 41. That's all I can say.
my dad, too.
And he chuckled. I mean, he was chuckling. I was definitely the youngest person there. And yes, I fell asleep for about 15 minutes. But that was a good thing. It didn't.
You had an excuse.
I couldn't relax. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, go see it. And you?
And me, I waffled back and forth as to what movie I was going to actually talk about this week because I saw two over the last 2 weeks. I saw Deadpool 2 last week, and I saw Solo this week. In short, if you saw Deadpool 1 and you liked it, go see Deadpool 2. You'll like it. It's the same, just a little bit filthier and dirtier. Entertaining and engaging enough. Solo. Solo, directed by Ron Howard, starring Alden. I never say this guy's name right. Alden Ehrenreich.
I think that's how you say it, yeah.
Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, Donald Glover, Paul Bettany, Jon Favreau, and coming back as the new Chewbacca, Joonas Suotamo. The story was written by Lawrence Kasdan and his son, Jonathan. I had a lot of high hopes for this, simply because of that. But the part that was lingering in the background was that this was a film that was very, very troubled in production. It was the Lord brothers, Phil Lord.
Yeah.
Phil and Chris Lord were the original directors that were brought on to do this. They were the guys behind Lego Batman, or the Lego movie, not Lego Batman, Lego movie. And so they have a very particular brand of comedy. It's very in your face, and they will make fun of, basically in the same way that South Park makes fun of themselves. They would make fun of themselves in the Star Wars universe. They would not hesitant to say something stupid about Chewbacca or Yoda or something. So them being hired was a really weird thing at first, but it was like, hey, Lego movie was fun. Han Solo's always been a tongue-in-cheek kind of character to begin with. He's never really been taken as a serious guy. He's just kind of been the dashing hero that comes in and tries to save the day, and then inevitably gets saved by Princess Leia or somebody else, or Chewie. And so, long story short, if you're familiar with the production, they got canned by Kathleen Kennedy, for creative differences. It was an amicable split, and then Ron Howard was brought on to finish up the movie. And for a good 6 months after that, we expected a trailer and never got a trailer until Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think so.
Was our first little inkling of anything. And to get a trailer as late as within a 5-month window is kind of concerning. But it's obvious now after watching the movie that Ron Howard basically redid the whole movie. There's nothing in there that, except for maybe one or two things that feel like, oh, that could have been a leftover from Phil Lord, just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. I'll go into the story in a minute as to how I feel about that. Soundtrack is awesome. Felt good. It's another one that was not done by John Williams. It was done by John Powell. So this is the second Star Wars film. Rogue One was not either. Rogue One was done by, I don't have his name off the top of my head right now. But John Powell did have little notes and cues from John Williams as for certain thematic things that brought in here. And every once in a while, you'd have these little things that pop up that were just kind of like a little bit of reminiscers of like, oh yeah, there's the Han Solo theme from John Williams that got brought in. One part that kind of threw me out of it for a minute was, and it happened within the first 15 minutes, is you hear the Imperial March at a training recruitment thing for Han going up to get into the Imperial March. But you hear the Imperial March, and it's like coming through a recording and up there. I'm just like, they never had the recording. This was never, stop it. It's like, why are they using the music? You know, it would have been like a cue underneath would have been better, but it was actually they were using the Imperial March as like theme music for the training thing. Like, oh, you hear the dun 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 dun. It was very strange because I'm like, the music has never actually been incorporated into it in that way. But as a whole, the movie felt very romantic to me. It felt like it felt like two movies conflicting with each other. Like Ron Howard seemed like he was trying to make a very romantic Han Solo. So the moments that he has with Emilia Clarke, and even some of the moments he has with Chewie, are very romantic in their nature. I mean, you learn a lot about the relationship between Chewie and Han to the point where, like, yeah, these two are basically a couple. This was the starting of that, and
Tender bromance.
You watch Emilia and his arc of their love, and where it basically dies out towards the end, and you kind of get that footing as to why Han was always like kind of fast and loose with women. It's just because he didn't trust them; they were always going to turn on him, and that's where we're kind of left with at the end of the movie. The big thing in the movie was bringing in the Kessel Run. They've talked about this through all different Star Wars movies. The Millennium Falcon made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. And here they finally had a chance to actually show the Kessel Run. And I've heard a lot of people say this is the most exciting thing of the movie. To me, it was a letdown. And it's kind of like one of those, like, never meet your heroes.
Right.
Never see the thing that is... It doesn't feel right. It wasn't anything exciting to me.
Kind of off topic, but not really. But they're talking about the same thing with Boba Fett. They're talking about making a Boba Fett film, and honestly, I would care they not do it. But
the only thing about the Boba Fett film, side tangent, is that James Mangold is coming on is semi-attached as director, and he did Logan, and so if they make Boba Fett a Western in space, which basically Star Wars is a Western in space,
right?
But
should be fine.
What he did with Logan, I would be happy if he did that with Boba Fett too, and I'd enjoy it.
Okay.
What were you missing in Han? Or in Solo? Sorry.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Alden is good, but it is hard to shake off what Harrison brings to the screen. And it took me a good maybe 45 minutes before I felt comfortable with Alden's performance to the point where he just kind of let it. And I don't know if that was is that the original stuff from Phil Lord or is this stuff from Ron Howard? Because it seemed like it was completely different direction, like where Alden felt like he was in the role. And I know Harrison actually was part of the production process. He was with Alden, like giving him like, this is what I would do. This is what the character would do.
Did they have scenes where...
but I think it goes from him making an impression of Han Solo to him actually being a Han Solo. Mm-hmm. And there's a distinct difference in the scenes, and that's why we're never going to know who directed what, or if it's all the same thing, or if, hey, was this filmed 18 months ago, or was this filmed 3 months ago? That it took me that long to attach to the character.
I did they do the hair? When they have pieces that are depicting real people, they will have scenes from them walking, and you are seeing the backs of them or the sides of them, and you in your head can kind of connect those two people together. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, do they have his hair to the point where you can kind of see him there? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think I do.
Okay.
In Star Wars, the third one with Ewan McGregor, the behind the scenes featurette, they showed a picture of Sir Alec Guinness, and they were matching the best they could Ewan and Alec's hair and whatnot. So you can see, and even Ewan said, I watched a lot of Alec, not just in Star Wars but in other films too, to see his mannerisms, see how he carries himself. Mm-hmm. So he said, I may not look just like him, but we're trying to get me as a younger, almost elder Alec Guinness. So
yeah, I mean, the looks, I was fine with how he looked. I mean,
did he have a scar?
I don't remember one. It was more of the mannerisms that he brought to the character that were so different from the Han Solo we know. The Han Solo we know is a very like, hey fella, hey, like really just a that same take
Smart
on that
ass.
70s, 60s, like in your face action hero. I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be the one that fixes everything. And Alden was very held back, very like, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
when I was reading the screenplay, I got the impression that this was Han, the idealist. Like Han wasn't yet jaded completely yet. Like I feel like in the future ones, he's already not corrupted, but crusty already. He's already cynical. But when reading Han Solo, this one, I felt like he wasn't there quite yet. Like he had that wisecracks, but it wasn't like.
But
deflection.
he was fully confident in himself and everything he did in this movie.
Right.
Which that is something that Han Solo is. But his confidence just, I don't know. It struck me in a way that I didn't appreciate it. And like I said, it took me a long time to accept him as Han. And I don't remember what scene it was in before I was like, oh yeah. And it might have been like one of the first interactions with Chewbacca.
Okay.
Before I was like, oh yeah, okay, now this feels a little bit more natural.
How are the...
However, Donald Glover, holy hell. When he started talking, he's got like the dead on, almost of an impression that...
Well, didn't he talk to... didn't they have a conversation, like him and I forget his name now, the original actor, Billy D. Didn't Billy D...
It wouldn't surprise me if it did, but when he started talking, the first things you have is him around a VR version of a poker table, but it's another game that they're playing, and you hear him talking, and I almost thought it was Billy D. talk. I'm like,
That's cool.
Wow, and it was just Donald Glover had it down, his mannerisms down, and I had more feelings for Donald Glover and his attachment to the machine LS-13, I think it was, and her ultimate demise. Like I had more attachment to that than I had for Han for most of the movie.
Okay.
There was a nice surprise appearance by Darth Maul at the end that I was like, oh, yay. Does this mean what I hope it means? I don't know.
How was the look of the movie to you? I'm just curious about the look of the movie, the colors of the movie, the sounds. I mean, I don't know. Does it sound like Star Wars? Does it look like Star Wars? The colors?
Everything feels like it fits into the universe.
Okay.
I don't feel like, but overall, it feels more like a romanticized movie than an action movie, if that makes any sense at all.
Does it feel like a Star Wars movie?
Yeah. Is it one that I'm going to watch over and over like I watched the other ones? Nope. I'll probably watch it once with my kids and that'll be the end of it because I just don't feel like, to me, it doesn't add much to anything. I would have preferred, because of how good Donald Glover was, is like, we didn't know a lot about my names today. Lando Calrissian. We didn't know a ton about him through the other films.
Or their relationship. We just know that they had.
I wish they would have flipped it and just let it be Donald Glover's film. He's so good in the role, but I understand why they did it. Solo is he's a popular character. We got the origin of how him and Chewie came together. We've got to see the backstory of the Millennium Falcon and all the crap that happened to it that led it to how it became his ship.
The legend.
And just like Rogue One, it's right on the tipping point of everything that sets up for 4, 5, and 6. So it's that, the rebellion is breaking and, here we go. And he has that moment where, like, does he join them or not? And he chooses not to, which was interesting to me. That, like, you knew that in your head that was going to happen, but it's like with everything that was in the film and everything that led him up to that point, for him to say no, you're like, huh. Because you're thinking down the line of, like, the Han I know wouldn't have said that. Well, this isn't the Han we know. This is the Han that we are just about to meet after this movie.
So do we go?
I'd go see it in theaters. Just dial back your expectations a little bit. It's not the greatest Star Wars movie out there. It's applicable. It works. But at the same, I enjoyed Episode 8 and there's a lot of hate for episode 8 and a lot of love for episode 8. So I think we're at a point with all the Star Wars movies that, what I didn't like, somebody else is going to extremely love.
Sure.
But I just,
I had a friend of mine walk out of the theater after the opening pop, started to crawl. It took him out of it completely. He said, okay, again, without the title crawl. And he went voomp and left.
But that's they've established that with the Star Wars stories stuff, though.
Yeah. He said he was tired of it, and he said no, and he left. I'm like, okay, you wasted your money. See, that was my mom's money. I'm like, okay.
What? I don't understand.
At the beginning, you know how you have the standard Star Wars
yes.
crawl, the yellow text going up the screen? So they say a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But
yes.
Well, you don't have the ba-da-da and you don't have the title crawl. They actually have, it's just more text that fades in and fades out. Because they set it with Rogue One 2 years ago that the Star Wars stories don't have to fit into that mold of these are your Star Wars. There are what happens in this box stays in this box kind of thing. There was an interesting discussion this week as to like why are they called Star Wars stories? Why isn't there another name? And I was interested that like why can't they be the Chronicles or something?
Sagas.
But Star Wars story sounds a little letdown-ish. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something to do, go see it. I would go see Deadpool 2 over that if you only had one option to go see.
If you have seen the first one.
If you've seen the first one, yeah. It'll still be fun, but you won't get a lot of the inside jokes that happen from... So, I'm not even going to take my girls to go see Solo at the theaters. I'm just going to wait until it comes out on film. So, yeah, there we go.
Alrighty.
That was a lot down, wasn't it?
Man, that was a...
Yeah.
That's okay.
Not everything's going to be a winner.
That's okay.
Okay, with that, we will return in just a moment. For you, the listeners of the Cultural Stew podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. I have been a Audible membership subscription person for a little while now, and I have enjoyed the books. I know Valerie is
a junkie. Okay.
A junkie. She is our expert on Audible.
Okay.
What are you recommending this week?
Right now, I'm finishing up. I always listen to 2 or 3 at a time. But I'm finishing up the Alice Network, which I spoke about last week, and the Secrets She Keeps by Michael Robotham, which I'm still... It's kind of a mystery, and the way they are putting it together is very... You're not going to figure out what's going on until the end. But one of the things I wanted to talk about were the channels that they had. And so one of them, which is what you get when you are a subscriber, you have these channels that you can just go on to. One of them is Better Than the Movie. So you get all these books. You can listen to them for free. So right now they have The Prestige, The Zookeeper's Wife, Slumdog, Jaws, The Descendants. And then there's another one, which I think is kind of fun, is Follow the Clues. And they have a whole bunch, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Maybe that's maybe a little geeky for you guys, but I totally enjoy it. And then The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out the Window. And do you guys know this book at all?
I don't. But if they're interested in checking out any of these, how do they go about?
They go to, this is written wrong, but it is Audible. Sorry. It's audibletrial.com/cultural stew. And one day I will figure this out. But again, it's audibletrial.com/cultural stew.
And what do they get if they go there?
They get a 30-day trial and a free book. One free. Well, it's a credit.
And even if you don't continue to be an Audible person, you get to keep that book. So
you do. I mean, you
can listen to it forever. You can use that credit on John Adams audiobook. I forgot. I think it's Richard McCullough's John Adams.
You can use it on
36 hours of Audible.
You can use it on any of the Harry Potter books that cost about $36 on there.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can
worth it.
Keep an eye on. There's some really good deals that you can sneak in there with just that one credit.
And then the daily deal. Don't forget the daily deal.
And then plenty of new releases coming in and out of there constantly.
And they have their own shows. I mean, they have their own books. They bring in all these people, famous people, and they redo books, kind of like plays. It's really cool.
So once again, 30-day free trial, 1 credit. Go to audibletrial.com/culturalstew and get your free audiobook today. And welcome back. Today, our stew is on Blockbusters, and Valerie is going to take us away.
Blockbusters.
That was...
As we... poor Blockbuster. It went belly up, didn't it? Anyway. So Blockbusters today, I would suppose, mean that we're all looking forward to summer blockbusters. The big budget, big star, whatever's coming up soon. So we do have a few, like 3 or 4 big blockbusters coming out this summer. That I think there are some people that are looking forward to, especially Ron, who's got his Jurassic Park shirt on currently. So,
well, we're already in blockbuster season.
I know it came early because I think
we'll go into
Avengers, that. The Avengers kind of
the same guy who basically started the blockbuster role was the guy who's now trying to take charge and break the blockbuster mold. We'll go into that.
I think one of the questions was thinking about the blockbuster movies that you went to as a kid that maybe you remembered or that were more impactful, at least for me. I do remember watching the news and seeing all the lines for E.T. I remember it being such a big deal. I went to go see E.T. In the theater. I cried. I remember that experience, but I also remember Ghostbusters and that experience with, we've got the song, we've got the whole thing. So as far as summer blockbusters when I was a kid, I guess those were the ones that stood out to me. And then in recent history, I would say The Dark Knight stood out to me because I was really blown away by The Dark Knight. I saw it in IMAX in Chicago. And that one really, I don't know, do you guys have some that you remember that made any type of, like when you think of Blockbuster, that's the movie you think of?
I absolutely do.
Want to go first?
Yeah. So, going back on, like, the term comes from 1940s, kind of got used a little bit here and there. And then a little film director named Steven Spielberg decided that there were no movies during the middle of summer. And one of the big reasons were it was very expensive to heat these big, or to cool these big giant theaters. And Spielberg thought, well, that's a 3-month period of no big movies coming out. Why don't I put my movie out then? It's going to have no competition. People are going to come to it.
And this is when people are going to the beach.
And so he had a little movie called Jaws in 1975 drop. And let's just say he repositioned the phrase of blockbuster because the movie soared and he brought lots of people to it. And he basically created the new wave of blockbuster boom single-handedly. And with his friend George Lucas, they basically cornered the blockbuster market between Star Wars and then Indiana Jones. going into the 80s. And for me, the first one that I eagerly anticipated was Jurassic Park. I mean, it had Spielberg on it. I mean, I loved everything he had done up to that point. He was just one of those guys that when he directed something, he tapped into a part of your brain that was like, this is a big kid playing with toys. And he knew how to pull on those little heartstrings and make you feel something. And all the lead up to this film, you know, from the iconic image of the glass of water sitting on the front, on the dashboard, just trembling. And as this came out in 1993, so I think the first trailer I saw for it was in the end of 92. And so you got excited. You're like, oh my gosh, we're going to have dinosaurs. And when you got your first glimpse, all you saw was the claw of T-Rex smushing down into the mud. And I didn't go back and look at the trailer, but I distinctly remember there was very little that they showed of the dinosaurs. It was a very effective trailer. And when the movie finally came out, we got the literal last seat in the back corner. And it was the worst spot you can be in the theater to see it. But I remember when Grant and Ellie are on the Jeep and Professor Hammond says, "Welcome to Jurassic Park," and they turn around and they see the dinosaurs for the first time. And to this day, like literal tears in my eyes because of where you thought technology was. And like, here Spielberg had created dinosaurs. It wasn't Hammond, it was Spielberg. That was Spielberg showing, hey guys, look where we can go and what we can do. And it just, for me as an impressionable teenager, it was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be surrounded by film. I've been surrounded by film in a different way, but to this day, I mean, I can recite every single line of this whole movie.
YouTube, that's fun.
And I know this movie inside out. I've watched probably 1,000 times, and that wouldn't be like that big of a lie.
It's number 22, actually, in the U.S. attendance of all time. It ranks 22.
But here's the pulling power of that single movie. That was 93, and Jurassic World came out in 2015.
I think so.
And Jurassic World completely obliterated that. And that's because those people that grew up with that all came back and we were all put back in that same spot. Yeah, there was some things to go. But to me, that was like the epitome of my youth, was like, that was the Blockbuster. And from then on, it was just like, hey, what are these really big films? And, I have a slant towards, I like big, loud, big boom films. But at the core of it is a film like Jurassic Park that makes me imagine stuff it's more than just people acting about their average daily lives and, in a Woody Allen-esque type atmosphere. It's imagining stuff that just aren't there, stuff that aren't real, and making them real.
Like E.T.
Yeah.
Like he did for E.T. I mean, we felt the connection between he and Elliot, and when E.T. is sick and the whole thing, and it's heart-wrenching. But you sure did believe. I do appreciate his inner child that he constantly wants to bring out. He does a great job.
What's interesting is that also marked the turning point for Spielberg, because that was also in tandem with that he released Schindler's List. So
right.
it was his start of his doing two films in tandem.
Yeah.
And
that's insane.
But yeah, for me, just like it kicked off the 90s of blockbusters into the 2000s of blockbusters, and into here we are all these years later, and Spielberg is yet again the one trying to break the mold of, hey, stop releasing blockbusters during the summer. Blockbusters can happen any time of the year. But yeah, he was the one who set us down the path of summer after summer after summer after summer after summer.
I know. Here he is. He's so in Jaws, he rules the 70s. Then he brings us E.T. in the 80s, and he brings us Jurassic Park in the 90s, and he just keeps bringing it.
Tony,
Well, I'm difficult and weird, so I have two.
It's okay.
I have a thing with me. My brother makes fun of me a lot. He'll be on the show at some point. But as a kid, I'd watch movies over and over again every day until I drove my brother mad and my dad mad. But my dad introduced me to one of these. I grew up watching RoboCop like every day, like the original RoboCop, not the new one. So all that vulgarity, all the Kurtwood Smith, all on my face all day long. For a whole year, I would watch it. And I think it came out in 87, so I was about 3 years old. My baby sister was born that year, but kept me busy, kept me occupied in 88. And I guess at the time, the censorship, I didn't really understand the language. I just knew, I felt. And now I realize, too, reading commentaries and listening to commentaries about the film, that Peter was chosen, the actor playing RoboCop was chosen because he had a good jawline and he could emote with his lower face because RoboCop's face is pretty much covered. So, in a way, something in that film identified with me where still to this day, I still love the city of Detroit, and I've only been there a couple of times, but something about it makes me want to go there and help those people. And true to cause, the city was on its way downhill as that film was supposed to be a futuristic parable, but it's coming back. But some reason I enjoyed a robot cyborg police officer helping bring justice to his city and fighting corruption. And again, my favorite character is Kurtwood Smith, who plays Red in 70s show. And it's funny seeing him playing smart guys before then and then playing a bad guy in RoboCop and then going to being a somewhat bad, good guy in 70s show. And again, Kurt was cast against type, like many actors in the film. So, I don't know. I mean, as a young kid, I guess the whole gore aspect didn't bother me, which is kind of disturbing to say. My dad sat me down, which, don't be mad at my dad. My dad loves movies like I do. And he didn't have any issues with showing his 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid RoboCop. And again, I wasn't the kid at school who was swearing at teachers. And again, I never got in trouble for swearing because I don't do that. So I would watch the movie, take it all in, and then watch it again. And my mom would sit there shaking her head like, what is going on? But I just love that film. And
I've never seen it.
The original? It's pretty gory. I mean, for the 80s, that's pretty
It's been a while since I've watched it, but
it's intense. I mean, even as a kid, I remember like a lump in my throat, like not sad tears, but like, oh, this is horrible. Oh, this is bad. But I'm still going to watch it eating my pretzels because I don't eat popcorn. But just, it's sad, but engaging. And all the characters pop. And it's like a comic book in a way on film. And for me, it's Paul's Verhoeven, I guess is his name. He's done a lot like Starship Troopers, which I like a lot. He has a lot of satires, which I guess why I like it, because his films are one thing, but under the surface, when you look into society more, you see what he's really talking about and what he means, and they're good stories. Ron, comment, thoughts?
No.
So my
enjoying listening.
And your second?
My second one is Jaws, which I enjoyed as a kid too, because I like the whole not seeing a shark aspect and then it popping and scaring you, and I like the camaraderie between the three guys on the boat, the beating the mayor in the head repeatedly, verbally saying, look, there's a problem. No, there isn't. And then you have Richard Dreyfuss, who's one of my favorite actors, who's just casual. And I know they rewrote some of the script to fit him more, but this whole, I know what I'm talking about. Oh, it doesn't make sense. And Richard just plays it very low key and mature and doesn't explode. And then you have it was, for me, that was a great summer film to watch. And I don't know what it is about films that, have gore and blood and things like that as a kid, but they engaged me. But then years later, as able to read more, I read the behind the scenes, I read the articles, I read the book about the making of the film. And as a filmmaker, I said, if Steven can do it when he was 26, then I can make my film too. And that got me into thinking, we just had to push forward. I mean, Steven was over budget, over schedule, just everything was going at him the wrong, but he pulled through. I mean, originally the shark was supposed to be seen, but they had issues, so they made do. And he said, let's just hide the shark. So that was
old Bruce.
Creative decision. So, and there's a script on the Blacklist that came out last year about the making of Jaws. There's 2 of them, I think, on there. But the Blacklist, in case you're wondering, is a annual screenplay contest where the up-and-coming, unproduced screenplays are voted on by readers and agents, and they give them a rating. People are voting on them. And so at some point, they'll be made. Like our film trailer that came out recently, the puppets, the Happy Time Murders. That was in the blacklist in 12. That was so many years ago, but that was on the blacklist in like the middle of the pile that no one said, we're not going to touch this. We're not going to touch it. But then someone said, hey.
Sidebar.
Let's get it.
If you want to laugh like crazy in a very sick, demented way, go hide your kids, go put on the Happy Time Murders trailer, and
don't drink anything.
Don't drink anything. We'll show Valerie after and see her reaction.
Happy Times murder trailer.
Yeah.
My wife was just snorting out of her nose, just funny. She was like, looking at me in disbelief. I was like, yes, it's a real thing. And Melissa McCarthy's in it, which is perfect. So it
debuted. This was like, I was just talking about how like trailers are coming out way before like movie openings now. So like you can see something like a couple weeks before you go to a movie. And it's like, oh, I remember the time when you used to go to a movie and the first time you'd actually see the trailer was at that movie. And then the next week they'd be all online somewhere. Well, Happy Time Murder Trailers was the first one I've seen in a long time. That was its debut, was in front of Deadpool 2. The whole audience lost it. I mean, I have never heard... I've been in some comedies. I've never heard an audience lose it like this. Not even during any part of Deadpool 2. And they just lost it. And like you have like these little old people just cracking up. I'm like, this is demented. Just think of Avenue Q on drugs. And Avenue Q has got some pretty messed up parts.
I was going to say, I was also
sidebar.
Sitting here thinking about summer movies and the movies watched over and over and over again. And mine when I was younger may have been, I had like two brains almost. Like I would watch Gone with the Wind. I would make a weekend for Gone with the Wind, but then Top Gun. I would see Top Gun in the movie theater.
What drew you to Gone with the Wind?
What drew me? I don't know. My little sister said the same thing. It was the first movie that she'd seen that it just wasn't like any other movie. I have no idea why I love that movie.
It's a well-made film.
It's sad and depressing.
It's
Jason
just one of those like I don't know how at a young age.
I know
it's engaging.
I did. I watched it. I would spend weekend this is my Gone with the Wind day, and I in high school would set aside. But I
and
also
then you flip to Tom Cruise.
I watched Top Gun over and over and over and over again.
It's not a bad film, Top Gun. It's just
it was so in the movie theater.
So weird.
It was so fun. We were in planes. I don't know. I mean,
that's the epitome of the blockbuster. Is the big, bold, in your face.
It was great.
Big, expensive budget on display.
I mean, we have a sweet, cute little Meg Ryan in there for the first time. She was right off of As the World Turns, nice soap that I used to watch. Yes, I did when I was little. Ugh.
It's a good series.
But yeah, and then you have our sad point, the sad moment, except for the fact that Goose, who's getting pulled out of the water, which I thought a thousand times, and you see him readjust himself as he's getting pulled out of the water. His hand comes up and readjusts something on his shoulder. If you look really closely in the film.
Zombie.
And it's
Zombie
just
Goose.
Oh, dude, seriously. But, yeah, my friends and I watched that.
Well, they just figured by that time you're bawling and you can't see through your tears.
And I don't know when Goonies came. I mean, Goonies was in 1986. I don't know if it came out in the summertime, but that was probably up to that point.
I don't know how I didn't see that in the theaters.
I was 11.
I was born in 85. So.
I don't remember seeing it before I saw it on TV.
He was 1.
But I did watch it a lot in the 90s. My brother will say that.
God, I went to see it. My grandparents took me to see it, which I thought was awesome. And so I'm with my favorite people watching this movie, and I just was like,
did you fall asleep then?
No, I did not. I did not fall asleep. And I just remember thinking, this is the best movie I have ever seen in my entire life.
It's a Donner film, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, Richard Donner.
Steven Spielberg.
Yep.
Producer.
He produced a lot of films. He did We're Back.
Back to the Future.
We're Back was...
I love Back to the Future, too. I watched that a lot, too. I was 10. 1985. You were born that year. Yeah.
We're Back was the children's version of Jurassic Park for little kids because Steven produced that too. Like a little cartoon that dinosaurs from the past are brought to the future and they're talking and dancing and
and dancing?
We're Back is
that might have been erased from my mind.
I don't remember that at all, but I do.
It wasn't
The
bad.
name is familiar.
It's like the Tyrannosaurs dancing and they're like, yeah. It's,
How about The Land Before Time?
I didn't get into that.
I loved The Land Before Time. You didn't? I watched it in high school too. My friend Courtney and I my bestie always sat and watched The Land Before Time and quoted it, and I know, we're weird. I had lots of.
So looking into this summer, we, like I said, the season kind of already kicked off early when Avengers moved itself up in the calendar into April. But Spielberg tried to even move it up even further by trying to get Ready Player One up there. Mm-hmm. But Marvel's been doing their fair share of, every movie that comes out now from Marvel is considered a blockbuster, and they've doing several a year, so they've been spreading it out along the calendar
Black
now.
Panther sure set it off.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And so going forward, we got Deadpool 2 and Solo just back-to-back weeks here. And coming up, we got Jurassic World.
Well, Jurassic World's in June 22nd. I want to see Hereditary, which is one of the scariest movies of the year. That's what they say. It has Tilda Swinton. She's scary in just
Scary?
herself.
No, she's not scary.
But see, I wouldn't classify that as a blockbuster.
These are a horror movie during the summertime?
Like Dark Water was pretty horrible.
There's no anticipation for me for that movie.
Because you don't like horror movies. I have I
I
have
watch 'em,
anticipation.
but
yes.
horror movies belong in the
How about Incredibles 2?
fall.
Incredibles 2?
Yeah.
I have kids.
I'm going to go see that with the
Going
kids.
to see that June 15th. That's
Everybody's
coming out.
been waiting for that one for a while.
Mission Impossible, of course, Fallout, July 27th. Tom Cruise again with his. That's a blockbuster for sure. And then there's some other
Ant-Man
movies.
and the Wasp is coming out.
That's true.
Another one. I just sent this whole list to Anthony the other night.
There's there's some movies that are coming out that I think look really interesting. And yes, maybe they're not blockbusters, but I think that there's some great summer movies coming out. So that's good. Mm-hmm. We're not just having, no offense, but big, huge Transformer dumb movies that I sit there and think, why am I here?
Unfortunately, we're still stuck in the mode of rehash and extend series. You got Ocean's 8, which I'm excited for just because they actually did it with a female cast. I haven't gotten anything from the trailers that makes me really feel for it.
I worry about it because of the Ghostbusters. I didn't even see the Ghostbusters with women. The woman Ghostbusters. I don't even know.
I had no interest in seeing it.
Great.
I didn't see it, but I would probably go see Ocean's 8. I probably would, but for fun. Maybe I'd fall asleep. You know what we're going to do is we're going to try to find the movie where I do not fall asleep in. I can't.
We might have to wait 6 months.
We win in the movie. I know.
What are you thinking?
No, I'm just saying in general.
Well,
she's going through recovery and everything. So we got to give her 6 months before she's back into normal.
Yeah, but I was falling asleep before. I was falling asleep during Baby Driver.
I don't think
Panther.
You're not going to fall asleep during Bohemian Rhapsody. I think you'll be too engaged in the music.
I think so. That sounds like a good idea. But I think that we do have a lot of good summer flicks coming out that may not be blockbusters, but I feel like some people will enjoy as well.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm excited for Tag. That's one of the ones I can't wait to come.
I don't know what that is.
We talked about it a couple episodes ago.
I'm sorry.
We watched the trailer. It's the one with
Tag?
Hawkeye.
It's
Jeremy Renner.
Oh.
And the friends who have been playing a lifelong game of tag.
John Hamm's in it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's one called 8th Grade, by the way. And I thought this one it comes out July 13th. I think this is going to be one of those that I think it might be interesting to see. Maybe not for everyone, but I think it might be a good movie. Elsie Fisher, she is the voice of...
Elsa?
What's it about?
Elsie Fisher. 8th Grade. It's about a girl going through 8th grade. and all the feelings she has. And I mean, 8th grade is tough. I mean, 7th grade was really tough for me. I had 0 friends. 8th grade, I actually had a great time. But it's still tough emotionally. You're about to, in high school, like where I grew up, 9th through 12th was high school.
Right.
And here, I guess you don't do that? You do 10 through 12?
I had 9 through 12.
A couple of schools are changing around here. Like Webster is 9 through 12. East Rochester is 9 through 12.
I think the city school district is merging schools and kind of mixes it up a little bit, but mine was 9 through 12.
I mean, being in 8th grade, that's your last year of kind of being a grade schooler, and then the next year is high school. You got a lot of stuff going on there.
I know when I went 1st through 5th at my elementary school, even though they had 6th grade, but my mom wanted me to go to middle school to be settled and used to it. So she put me at Nathaniel, Rochester, on Adams Street. That was 6 through 8, but they also had an elementary wing in there too. But then high school was 9 through 12. So I could have done 1 through 6 at elementary school, but yeah, my mom didn't see that as necessary.
I had a 3-year hiatus in Topeka, Kansas, where I went for 4, 5, and 6. But I basically went K through 12 in the same building. That's how small St. John is, which is kind of, it's kind of cool. You go the same people. Actually, I'm missing, it was yesterday, I'm missing my 25-year class reunion.
Boy. It's my 20th this year.
They tried to do mine on a cruise. I forget what year it was.
Are you serious?
And I'm like, that's not even serious. You guys are you serious? But I'm not even going.
They lost my email address, so they can't get a hold of me.
We're in Kansas, so
I mean, reunions are kind of going out of date, some people say, because we have Facebook, so now you don't need to get together. You can just talk online. And see
Anybody I cared about from high school that I want to talk to, I talk to.
Exactly.
Outside of that, I really have no care of knowing what the hell you're doing.
I'm still mad about my yearbook. But, whatever.
You bet your
they had those expletives about best eyes nonsense. And the guy who won best eyes, it should have been me, because all throughout my life, people said, Tony, you have the greatest eyes ever. Your eyes are pretty, and they're awesome. Everyone said that. Even guys said that to me. I'm like, okay, this is my thing. I'll be in the yearbook, best eyes. The guy who got it had green contacts in.
That's
green,
not fair.
Exactly. He said, he has best eyes. They're green. I'm like, how?
Yes, what
his
I got.
Contacts.
God, I sound like a little...
So I whole war, and I said, I'm never seeing you people ever again. I don't care about you anyways, but this is just the last.
Because of the best eyes?
Yeah, I'm like, no.
Dude,
I can't take you seriously.
Most flirtatious.
You?
Yeah.
Wow. No comment. I don't know what. I can't touch that. I don't know what to say about that.
It was flirtatious, but that does not mean anything. You do not.
Well,
get anything
kids coming
from
up
that.
with rewards for other kids.
No, it's like I was very. I don't know, flirty. I don't know. I don't know if I would say flirty, because flirty to me means that you're headed towards
That's what
something.
I was wondering what that
and
meant.
I'm not. I wasn't. I was just
friendly.
Yeah, I sat on laps and stuff. I had a lot of guy friends.
Oh,
I just did.
dating.
I had a lot of guy friends, and it wasn't anything. It was just me sitting on laps and having good. It was just like fun, but I wasn't that type of girl.
I didn't think so.
So the girl who was very spitey was in charge of giving out the awards and was seeing you
as a threat.
As a threat.
I don't know. I think they meant most
whatever.
like fun loving.
No.
I don't know why flirtatious isn't even a category.
So that wraps up our stew about Blockbusters today.
Makes sense. That makes sense. All that came together. Ridiculous.
On that Blockbuster. Next week's topic, I think I don't have anything right now, so it's going to be a surprise.
Oh, a surprise. That's fun.
Which means we'll all know about it the day before the show. The way this summer is going.
That'll be fun. It'll be good.
Let's reach into our grab bag. Anybody have anything?
I have something. So I'm on my phone a lot because, I take pictures with my phone, but I'm also taking a lot of phone calls these days because my baby's due June 22nd. And, people text me saying, what's the baby due? I'm like, it's online. But a lot of people are calling me. And that means I'm looking at apps on my phone to occupy my time, like games and stuff. Mm-hmm. But there are no games I'm going to recommend, but I do recommend a app. It's called Webtoon, which is a global digital service that compiles webcomics. And yes, I do read webcomics. They recommend a lot of comics, but so far the two that I kind of are in my radar right now are Let's Play, which is about an introverted gaming designer who had her game rejected by a game reviewer, and how they become neighbors, and they kind of go back and forth, and will they love each other, will they not? But right now it's good. And the other one is...
Are these live action?
No. They're webcomics. They're just hand-drawn.
Drawings, okay.
My Dictator Boyfriend is a comic about a secretly gay dictator who his father steps down and he becomes a new person in charge of his country, and how he's kind of a shadow puppet leader, but he falls in love with his bodyguard and how they kind of are playing hit or miss with each other, and he's trying to become the great leader he needs to be, and the bodyguard trying to protect him. I mean, it's a cute story. But yeah, I find the weirdest things to enjoy, but so far, Let's Play and My Dictator Boyfriend are my top two. And you can find that on Webtoon. I'm not promoting them like we do Audible, but if you want to relax and just read something funny, they have stuff for everyone.
I just saw something on Amazon Video Prime called Picnic at Hanging Rock. That looks kind of groovy. It's a story of 4 women who disappear in the Australian bush. It's from a novel. Framing the events as like a true story, although it wasn't. It's a give me the word redaptation. What's that word?
What do you mean? Describe.
It was before, and they're redoing.
Oh, you're talking about remakes.
Thank you, remake. It's a remake, and it has Natalie Dormer in it as the lead.
She's a good actress when she wants to be, or picks the right parts. I guess I should say she picks the right roles, because she's been typecast.
It looks kind of cool. I don't know. I watched the first few minutes of it, and I was like, okay. I kind of was too tired to move on, but I have lots of things that I like. Oh yeah, when I decide that I'm going to be awake enough to watch this will be awesome.
Cool.
So I'm looking at that.
And
Buffy? Is that what you're trying to do? I have Hereditary.
There you go.
Yeah, but I said that earlier, and you were like, well, the Hereditary, that's not a blockbuster, I guess. But Jason and I were like, that's our thing. Our horror movies, that's the thing.
From the trailer I saw of that seems like a movie that will make Jason very tense.
Yes, it looks terrifying.
It looks a little messed up.
It does. I mean, it does, but it even talks about somebody makes parallels to The Exorcist, which is like the bomb. So
that's got what is her name?
What are you trying to say?
Don't worry.
The lead actress in Hereditary.
Is that
Tilda Swinton?
No, she's not the lead actress.
She is too.
No,
dude. It's Tony.
No, it's Toni Collette.
That's what I
oh my lord!
Thank
I
you.
am so sorry.
I'm like Tilda. No, not Tilda.
I have said that the entire time. I apologize. Yeah,
Toni Collette.
Toni Collette. She was in
a lot of things.
Well, she did a fantastic. In fact, did she? She was nominated or won an Oscar.
No, that wasn't her. That was
no for I See Dead People.
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense. She was nominated for an Oscar for that movie.
In that movie, was she?
Dude, she was the mom, and she was fantastic.
No, Sixth Sense was. Oh, she was a mom. Never mind.
She's fantastic. So I am looking forward to that. And yeah.
She nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Muriel's Wedding.
That's what I'm thinking about.
She was fantastic.
And Academy Award nominated portrayal of Lynn Sear in Sixth Sense.
Boom, see?
And then made a Tony Award nominated Broadway debut a year later in The Wild Party.
I don't want to get into actors going to Broadway, so that's another show. I don't want to get into it.
Actors going to Broadway?
I don't want to get into it. I don't want to talk about it. It bothers me.
Actors are actors. That's I'll put out. That is my point on it.
Actors are actors wherever they are. You don't think so? What about theater?
We'll save this for a stew for him later.
This is that would be a good topic. Let's pick that.
All right.
No.
So I'm still finishing up Lost in Space. Let's see. This week, Action Point comes out. I'll probably see that. I just keep laughing every time I see that. Johnny Knoxville's pretty stupid, but for some reason that movie is attracting me. And the fact that it's based on the real life amusement park, it just
Like,
Oh yeah, you sent me that thing, that link.
So yeah, I'll probably catch that this week, and then the following week is going to be a toss up between either seeing Hotel Artemis or Ocean's 8, whichever one I have
What's
time to see.
Hotel Artemis?
It's got not Judi Dench, Helen Mirren in it.
Ooh, Helen.
Yeah.
Miss her.
Hotel Artemis?
No, not Helen Mirren. Jodie Foster.
Jodie.
Where the heck did Helen Mirren come in my head?
You're talking.
It's because her hairstyle reminded me of Helen Mirren. It's Jodie Foster.
Miss her too.
It's basically a hotel that is actually a hospital for when things go bad to bad villains. They need a place to get fixed up.
This is awesome. This is in the movie theaters?
It will be. Yeah.
Cool. I did not even know about that. Thank you for...
I mean, it doesn't look phenomenal.
So what? It comes out
looks
June 8th.
entertaining.
But it's got Jodie Foster
Oh my
in
gosh.
it.
I could do a double feature June 8th. Hereditary and Hotel Artemis.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah, June 8th is a busy week. I think there's 10 or 15 movies coming out that week, and like 3 to 5 of them are actually worth watching.
Cool.
So we got that. My time's dwindling, so I don't know what else I'm going to be able to fit in besides those.
Yeah, me too.
Well, my wife and I are celebrating our 8th anniversary on Tuesday, so the day after Memorial Day.
Have you been doing something special
I can't say.
in lead up to that day?
No, we don't do that. We just.
I don't know
boom,
what you're
that
talking
day.
about, but
Aren't you
they're
going
having
to
a baby.
see
Well, we are
something?
going to go see something. Yes,
What are you going to see?
we're going to go see the Avengers: Infinity War. So
And you've been doing what?
she's been rewatching the whole series,
Oh, that's
there
cool.
we go.
and my brain's mush. But at least
I
you'll.
was not talking about anything else.
Sorry.
I was thinking they're having a baby.
Yeah. She has been backlogging a lot,
Awkward.
and I'm glad she's going to get everything. I mean, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
She's basically like going through the whole catalog backwards. Like we got Doctor Strange, and we got Black Panther, and we also got another one. I'm dropping it. Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is on Netflix, so she's been rewatching that. But I said these 3 are the ones that you need to watch. You get the jokes, like
Wow.
the eye joke from Rocket. She needs to. There's a little thing, but it pops up later in Infinity War, and it's still funny because he says something under his breath, and it's funny when you know what he's talking
I always
about.
wonder he's got to have like a drawer full of eyes at
Yeah.
this point.
Your
Like,
wife loves you. That's all I gotta say.
What do you mean?
To do this is really sweet.
No, she likes our new vehicle, which we got a new vehicle. She let me label it Hulkbuster.
Don't
Will
say
be on the
let.
license plate. So, but yeah, she just little things like that. But she likes she likes Captain America. She wanted to call her Captain America, so we're not doing that. That's just not going to happen. She likes the Hulk. She likes
I love the
Thor a lot. So she's found that's the thing. Most women I've been with, dating wise, like they try to find things that I like, enjoy, and try to find a way to like them too. So my wife, being my wife, I'm glad she's found a series to get into, meaning Marvel, because I like DC, but now I'm switching sides.
Do you do anything like something she likes? Maybe we should
My
try
wife
that.
My wife watches a lot of Clue, and she likes Rocky Horror. So there's a window of time
Are you
where
serious?
she will watch Clue and Rocky Horror
Seriously?
all the time.
Dude.
Like, Clue's her thing. So
Clue is my thing, and Rocky Horror is my thing.
then you guys should get together.
We need to get together.
and just have a
Holy-
night.
When my little sister came in and Dewey was in, Clue.
But yeah, you guys should probably watch wrestling together too. So she could probably get you on wrestling
Okay, I'm
as
not
well.
watching
no,
wrestling.
no. If my wife never, okay, look, I have friends my friend Trisha, good friend Trisha, did not like wrestling, and her husband got her into wrestling a couple years ago. If you can get her into wrestling, and I got my wife into wrestling, I'm sure we can get you into wrestling.
No.
It's not that
Long-term
hard.
subliminal
It's
message.
not hard. It's
Not
so
gonna happen.
engaging.
Anyway, Jason and I are
It's gonna
Jason
happen.
and I are
Wait for it.
celebrating our 11th wedding anniversary on June 4th.
Next week.
Anniversary times.
Nice.
So yeah, but yeah.
That's right. 11 years.
Awesome. Well, I think that about wraps up our show. We are all starting to sweat from our foreheads in this
Yeah, the
hot
lights
room
on.
as the AC did not
Turn
kick
on.
in time. So let us know what you thought. Tell us what your favorite blockbusters are. What's in your queue? What interested shows do you think should be on our radar? Let us know. Give us a review over on iTunes. Valerie, where can we find you? or have you completely disappeared off of social
kind of
media?
disappeared. I think we can do, I don't know, VB Vidmar at Twitter, or it's PennyLane64 on Twitter, and it's definitely PennyLane64 on Instagram. And I did not hold up my part of the deal with, updating people, but
Me.
when I start
It's all good.
getting there, I will try to tweet.
Anthony?
I'm all over Facebook, as you know, and I'm on Twitter at SMTORCHIO. That's my email, too, at Gmail. So come find me. Let's talk. Please.
Let's talk.
Stop being that silent observer out there. I know you're liking on things, and
Talk to us on
Yes, maybe you
Cultural
can win.
Stew on
like
Facebook,
people.
man.
You can come on the show. I mean, yeah, just talk to us. Let us know how you feel. Do we suck? Do we rock? We need to know.
Who's your favorite?
you can find me pretty much everywhere as at GFMedia or GFMedia CEO. You can find us at culturalstew.net or at culturalstewnet on Twitter and Cultural Stew on Facebook. And as I said, please go give us a review, give us some feedback, give us something. Let us know you're listening.
We know you are.
Yeah, like,
We care.
say, shut up earlier.
Yeah.
Quit rambling about.
Just let us know. We're
Go
here.
to therapy.
Awkward end of show.
Ciao.
Later.
Bye.
The intro and break music is Please Listen Carefully by Jahzzar, available through the Creative Commons license from Free Music Archive. The outgoing music is provided by Epidemic Sound. Please see our show notes for details on what the outgoing song is and who it is by. And also, as always, if you have a piece of music that you'd like us to play or consider playing, please contact us today. Like what you've heard? Want to continue to hear more? Please consider Patreon. What is Patreon, you ask? Patreon is a content creator support site, a way for people to support the things they love and allow creators to continue creating the content that they love. Please consider heading over to patreon.com/GFmedia and becoming a Patreon supporter today.